that we're all on the same page, and from now on, when you hear Whitney or Danielle or any leader in your environment use the phrase family ministry, that we're all on the same page walking forward out of here so that we can do what God has for us to do over the next year as we push forward this family ministry. The first idea is just that it's a strategy, and the word strategy, don't get hung up on the fanciness of it. A strategy is just simply a plan of action with an end in mind, and the idea that every single thing we do at Ridge Church has an end in mind. So Wamba itself is a strategy. In and of itself, it has its own strategy, that there's an end in mind when a kid goes off to kindergarten. Upstreet itself is a strategy. It has an end in mind for when a kid finishes 5th grade and goes into middle school. And the same with Student Impact. It has an end in mind. None of those things are just curriculums. Maybe you've heard that Patrick doesn't really like the word curriculum when we talk about like Wamba. It's just a curriculum. Upstreet's just a curriculum because it's so much more. A strategy is so much more than just kind of teaching some knowledge to be learned. It's so much bigger than that. It's a strategy. We actually care about kind of what happens at the end, and then we back up from there. So I just want to illustrate it. So maybe that was just a bunch of big words that were mumbo jumbo. I want to get really specific and really practical. So I've got pictures of 2 kids. They're going to be up here on the screen behind me. 2 future kids yet to show up. They're named Gavin and Addison. Gavin's a boy, Addison's a girl, because I know game names can kind of go whichever way these days. Maybe I should have picked like Bill and Susie, I don't know. But anyway. Gavin's a boy, Addison's a girl, and yeah, Gavin's on my right. So we're going to start with Gavin. Let's just pretend for a second that these 2 are kind of representative of the types of kids who are going to walk in the doors at Ridge Church over the course of the next 15 years. We're just kind of using these 2 as general ideas, these 2 kids. So Gavin showed up actually when he was an infant because his parents, maybe they're at Ridge Church already. And somewhere along the way, they put their faith in Jesus and they became followers of Jesus. They found Ridge Church. They fell in love with Ridge Church. They fell in love with what Ridge Church is all about. They started to serve at Ridge Church. They get excited. And then all of a sudden they had a kid, which there's a lot of that going around, it seems like. And Gavin shows up as a how many ever week old in Wambaland, whenever the first week is that you bring your child to Wambaland. He shows up for the next 18 years, he's going to be in this family ministry strategy. I just kind of want to paint a picture of what kind of kid we hope that Gavin will become, the end that we have in mind for Gavin. And then let's look at kind of a different type of child who's also representative of the kids I think who will show up at Ridge over the next 20 years is Addison. And she shows up for the first time as a 3-year-old. So also in Wambaland, but it's just her mom. And her mom was actually invited by Gavin's parents, let's pretend. Gavin's mom and dad, because Gavin's mom works with Addison's mom. So Addison's mom shows up with Addison. She's a single mom. Dad bolted years ago, who knows why. Addison's mom's never been to church one time ever in her life. Just picture that. Therefore, Addison's never been to church either until this very first time they walk through the doors at Ridge Church. Addison drops into Wambaland and loves it. She falls in love with her small group leader. She loves everything that goes down in Wamba because Wamba's just that awesome. She goes home telling her mom, I love that place. I love my small group leader. I want to go back every single week because I don't want to miss what's going on at Wamba. So Addison and mom stick. Eventually, mom puts her faith in Jesus, becomes a follower of Jesus. That means Addison gets to stick here at Ridge Church until she's 18. So I've kind of laid the groundwork. I think that's kind of representative of the majority of kids here. That's kind of like a generalized story for the 2 types of families who will walk through the doors at Ridge Church, something similar to that. I just want to take a peek with you. I want to dream with you guys for just a second. If we can imagine the next 18 years for each of these kids as we implement this family ministry strategy. So we'll start off in Wamba, and with each of these specific strategies, the way they fit into one big strategy is that they kind of build on each other. There's 3 core principles or ideas or experiences that we want each child at each level to kind of embrace. And in Wambaland, really, really simple. I love how simple it is. It's 3 things. God made me, God loves me, and Jesus wants to be my friend forever. And maybe for those of you who serve in Wamba, you're like, yeah, I say that every single Sunday, and it's kind of gotten old, to be honest with you. Like, I don't feel the weight of that, but when I say that right now, I feel I'm kind of awed. I'm amazed when I think about a child beginning to grasp those 3 things. Like, we could talk about the fact that God loves me for at least 5 years, at least the 5 years there in Wamba. We could just focus on that one. God made me. Like, if people got that, like I think about my neighbors, Carl and Diana, who are in their mid-50s. If they got these 3 things, like if they really believed these 3 things, it would absolutely change their lives. And I keep inviting them to Ridge Church. Maybe I should back up and just invite them to Wamba. See what happens when they show up, because I'm confident that their lives would be changed with these 3 things. So I hope that encourages you if you're a Wamba volunteer. I think for the rest of us sitting in this room that aren't in Wamba week in and week out, we're amazed by that. Like, we're amazed of a child of 3 years old and 4 years old to get that, to grasp that, to embrace those truths. But it's also foundationally a part of a strategy, because if a 5-year-old walks into kindergarten fully believing that Jesus wants to be my friend forever, then when they get to Upstreet, it's a little bit easier to say, I can trust God no matter what, which is one of the 3 truths in Upstreet. I can trust God no matter what, and if I can do that, then it's a little easier for me to believe and to act on it when God says I need to make the wise choice and I should treat others the way I want to be treated. And if we could, there's Upstreet truths. I'm busting through them. Everybody can see them. That I can trust God no matter what. I need to make the wise choice and I should treat others the way I want to be treated. If we could pause there for 1 second, like seriously take a brain break for 1 second and imagine a 5th grader who's fully embraced the 3 Wamba truths and now the 3 Upstreet truths, and they've started to become those type of people who, no matter what's going down at home, at school, in the neighborhood, they can trust God no matter what and try as best they can to make the wise choice, and they actually treat other people the way they want to be treated. Forget 5th graders, what about like us adults in the room? If we could like literally like we got this and we lived it, I feel like we could almost stop there, but let's not, because I'm excited about where it's going next. Let's imagine a 5th grader equipped with all these kind of 6 ideas, and they kind of live their life according to these, and they step into middle school, into high school. So for the next 7 years, we've got these truths in student impact, and they kind of revolve around 3 different words: wonder, discovery, and passion. And wonder is just all about the idea that I'm created to pursue an authentic relationship with my Creator. We want to kind of invoke discovery in them, discovery just being that they'd be able to say I belong to Jesus Christ and define who I am by what He says, because we know that teenagers and adults alike define who they are by everything but Jesus and what He says they are. And finally, passion, that I exist every day to demonstrate God's love to a broken world. So then we kind of put all those together as our one big strategy, and you might not be able to see them, but hopefully maybe you remember what I said. It might be too small because it's so much, but it's really just 9 things. 3 things every 5, 6, or 7 years. It's pretty simple. But then I imagine Gavin, and I imagine Addison, from 3 years old, or from 0 years old, or from an infant all the way until the time they're 18, they graduate high school. Can you imagine with me for just 1 second if we as a church have helped them become these things? Like, this is the end in mind. That right there is the end in mind, helping kids become that kind of adult. And just imagine Gavin and Addison just going out in the world, graduating high school, going to do whatever they do, going to a college campus, going out and getting a job somewhere, whatever it is that they do next. Imagine them being that type of person. Like, they're going to change the world, right? They have to change the world. I guess they would change the world in a world where they spent all their waking hours at Ridge Church, or if the only influence they had in the whole entire world was Ridge Church. But we know that's not the reality, right? Ridge Church is just a tiny slice of influence. So that was kind of the first piece. When I think family ministry, I think strategy. It's this beautiful strategy that every time I think about it, I get really excited. But if we're just a tiny one part of influence in their lives, I want to kind of illustrate that really quickly. I hope you guys will remember forever what I'm about to show you. This just glass jar, we're just going to let that represent 1 year in a child's life. So it could be Gavin, it could be Addison, it could be whoever. Just imagine this is representative of 1 year in a child's life. It could be a year in Wamba, a year in Upstreet, a year in Student Impact, and a year at all. And we're going to pretend that each of these M&Ms represent just 1 hour of influence that we as a church have with this child. So it could be 1 hour in Wamba, it could be 1 hour in Upstreet, it could be 1 hour in Student Impact. Just imagine 1 hour over the course of a year, the influence we have in a child's life. So there's 1, 2, 3. Don't worry, I won't do them all one at a time. There you have it. On average, with the average child who attends Ridge Church, not even average, like the kids who come a lot at Ridge Church. The kids who say they come every week, here they are. It's about 40 hours in a year on average. We spend about an hour a week with them, and they come pretty much every week, which is about 40 weeks out of the year. 40 hours right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's kind of our influence. This is kind of all the hours in a child's life. There's our influence right there. I get excited about that. I'll be honest, because I know that what goes down in those 40 hours is going to be awesome because of you guys. Because of what you guys are able to do and all the investment you put into what goes down on Sunday mornings here at Ridge Church and Wamba and Upstreet and Student Impact. I'm crazy excited about those 40 hours. But let's also say, same kid. Hope I don't break any glass. The glass jar is also representative of 1 year in their life. And let's just say each of these M&Ms represent 1 hour of influence that a child's parents have in their life over the course of a year. So just 1 hour, just like these, just 1 hour. 1 year. A child's parent is able to influence their child for an average of about 3,000 hours in 1 year. Just take a look at that for a second. We'll be quiet for about 5 seconds. You just look and let your brain run wild. When I look at it, I say that we are crazy not to leverage this. We must be insane if we say that we want to help children become, this is the end that we have in mind, this is our strategy, we want to help children become adults like that. We want to lead them into a growing relationship with Jesus. But look at, it's pretty heavy. Look at that influence the parents have. We're crazy if we don't tap into that. We're crazy if we don't leverage the influence that parents have. Plus it's parents, not the church, who are actually called and have the primary responsibility to lead their children into a growing relationship with Jesus. In fact, I just want to read one passage of scripture to you guys. It may be familiar to some of you. It's actually out of Deuteronomy. Maybe you're like, Deuteronomy's in the Bible? Or I didn't know there was anything good in Deuteronomy. There's actually something really good in Deuteronomy. It's Deuteronomy 6. Probably part of it you've heard before because Jesus quoted it, and when Jesus quoted stuff, it like makes it onto Facebook and all that, so you've probably heard this before. There's actually Moses talking originally in Deuteronomy. He's talking to a whole nation, like a whole country. I don't know how that works, but I don't think all like, I don't know. Never done that before. Before TV and before State of the Union address. But anyway, Moses talking to the whole nation. It's pretty important what he has to say. He says, we've got this on the screen too, so you can follow, hopefully remember this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And this is big. This next verse, I think we spend our whole lives trying to figure this out. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Basically, with everything you've got, just figure out how to love God with everything that's in you. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. And then I imagine him turning to parents and saying, impress them on your children, these commandments, to love God with everything you've got. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. If you've got to, if you have to, this is what it takes. Tie them as symbols on your hands, bind them on your foreheads. They look pretty silly. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. So I would be like, time out, Moses. Like if I'm a parent, my whole life is supposed to revolve around helping my kids. Like every single time that I wake up and go to bed and we drive along the road and we eat dinner and we eat breakfast, we sit down at the table, everything revolves around me helping my kids love the Lord their God with everything they've got. I think Moses would be like, yeah. I think we would be like, yeah. Why not? That's what more can we think of that's more important than that? You guys know the deal. Especially you guys that are parents, I'm sure you guys know the deal. A parent, yeah, they absolutely want to do that. Every parent in the world probably wants to do that. Help to lead their children spiritually. Help to lead their children just like we do in a growing relationship with Jesus. But you get busy, right? Stuff happens. Like there's jobs. I can't even imagine all the stuff that comes up for parents. And maybe some parents even aren't that busy. Maybe they're like, I've figured it out, I've got enough time, but I don't even know where to start. Like I'm a parent, I don't even know how. Like I believe that I should be the spiritual leaders of my children, but I don't even know what to do. I don't even know the first thing to do. But what if we as a church could help them? What if we could work together with them? What if we could partner with them, literally, as a church, partner with the parents to help them live out this Shema that the Jewish people call this commandment that Moses gave. It's still famous, lives on today, like in the Jewish faith and in the Christian faith as well. They call it Shema. It's probably one of the most famous passages from the Old Testament. So famous because it's such a big deal. What if we could help them do that? What if we could have such relationships with their kids and partner so awesomely with the parents that they can't help but have those conversations when they walk along the road, or probably most of the time drive along the road, when they sit down at the table for whatever reason, when they wake up in the morning, when they go to bed at night, they can't help but have those conversations because we've partnered with them in such an awesome way. I feel like both groups are already doing the same thing. Like our mission as a church is to lead kids, students, people into a growing relationship with Jesus. Parents might word it a little bit differently, but that's pretty much their deal. It revolves around, they want to help their kids love the Lord their God with everything they've got, lead their kids in a growing relationship with Jesus. So we're doing the same thing, we're just not doing it in sync. What do you guys say we just do it together? What if we partner up? I don't know almost anything about workforces, so maybe some of you guys do, and you can correct me later. I do know one thing, I think I'm right on this one thing. A workhorse can pull about 8,000 pounds of something, whatever homeboy farmer wants the horse to pull, about 8,000 pounds is like the average. If he goes out and buys a second workhorse who can also pull about 8,000 pounds, he kind of hitches them both to the same cart, pulling the same stuff. The two horses together can pull, one horse pulls 8,000, the other horse pulls 8,000, the two together can pull
16,000.
Lost you guys already. Math wizards in the room. Yeah, they can pull about 16,000 pounds together. But somehow, I don't know how this works, but somehow the homeboy farmer or whoever is, got these two workhorses now to pull whatever he couldn't pull with a truck. If he trains them somehow to actually more than just kind of pull on their own, but to actually kind of become partners, to do it in sync, they can pull not 16,000 but 32,000 pounds. And I think about that illustration, I feel like we're just cracking the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the partnership we could potentially have with parents, that a horse can pull 4 times as much, be 4 times as effective when he's partnered up with another horse. I gotta think that we're way more, we multiply our effectiveness way more than that when we partner with parents who have this much influence that I can't even pick up. So when I think about this Shema, when I think about our mission as a church, which I think mirrors parents' mission with their children, could we give them the tools to do that? Can we give them the tools to lead their kids spiritually? Could we help set them up as small group leaders, as large group volunteers, as a church? Could we do that? Maybe by making it so exciting that their kids have to have those conversations with them. Maybe by kind of prepping them with the knowledge to do that. I think we can, and we as a church desperately want to leverage everything we've got, our time, our resources, our talents, our money, everything that is together in this room to partner with parents to lead their kids into a growing relationship with Jesus. But we, like as a Rich Church staff, there's no way that we can do that by ourselves. We need you as volunteers in Wamba, as volunteers in Upstreet and Student Impact to help to partner with parents. We need you guys as small group leaders in all 3 different teams, all 3 different environments that make up this one big family ministry team. As small group leaders, we need you guys to not only focus on building relationships with kids, but spend some time this year focusing on developing relationships with their parents. Just remember this when you're doing that. We need you guys as large group and production volunteers to help pull off environments and experiences that are so amazing that there's no way the kids will go home and shut up about it. So that when they get in the car and mom and dad ask them some questions and they just keep talking and talking and talking, and parents have those conversations all week long. We're doing what we can, I think, as a staff, as a church so far. Like we've done some little things. We've kind of done some stuff that we figured out. I guess the biggest thing is to try to give parents knowledge of what's going down, just to try to give parents knowledge of the conversation that we've kickstarted. Like in every single environment, parents know what was talked about that day. So like in Wamba, there's small talk cards, and it just kind of lets parents know, hey, here's what we talked about today. In Upstreet, there's the very same thing called a fridge door card that goes on the refrigerator. Hey, here's what we talked about. There's also God time cards in Upstreet that kind of partner with parents to help them start a kind of quiet time, help their kids start a quiet time during the week, just kind of conversing with God about what they talked about. And in Student Impact, a parent knows every single Sunday what was talked about, and then even a possible conversation starter idea for what students talked about in their small groups that day. But it's amazing when I think about what we do on Sundays, as amazing as we can make it, like as awesome a job as we could do in Wamba and Upstreet and Student Impact is still just 40 hours. That's all it's ever going to be. That's as good as we're ever going to get. For me, in school, I always think of this story and it makes me laugh. It was actually an ongoing story until I was 16 and got my driver's license. My parents and I had this little ritual, and it was like this unspoken ritual. Maybe it's the same ritual in your house, but every day from the time I was in kindergarten to the time I was old enough to drive, which I guess would have been like 10th grade-ish when I turned 16, this was the ritual. A parent, mom or dad, drives up, I get in the car, they pick me up from school. First thing, they ask me, Patrick, what did you learn in school today? My reply, nothing. Nothing. Every day for how many years is that? Like 5 to 18, 13 years? Or no, 5 to 16? How many every years that is? I do the math in my head. You guys are the math wizards, I remember with the horses. How many every years? Every single day. That was the ritual, which I don't know why my parents wouldn't catch on and know every day I learned nothing at school. Like, that's the answer you're going to get every day. I don't know why you keep asking. What if it were the opposite at Ridge? What if it were the absolute opposite at Ridge Church? What if parents came back to us? For one, they already knew. They didn't really have to ask for their sake because they already knew what their kids not only learned but experienced at church because they knew kind of the conversations because we had set them up to know. You guys were in relationships with them. They were hearing from us what was going down. But not only did they know, when they asked the question, their kids wouldn't shut up. Like, what if they came to us? What if they came to you as a small group leader and said, hey, you guys are doing way too good of a job. I need you to tone it down because my kid will not shut up about what's going on Sunday. That's kind of the dream that I have. Like, that gets me excited. Like, what if that actually happened? Like, the first time that happens, I want to know because I want to, like, check it off the list of, like, bucket list maybe. I don't know. I think that would be amazing. I just jotted down this quote from a book I read recently, and it, I don't know, it keeps me awake at night sometimes, to be honest. It burns this image into my mind. The author wrote, when it comes to entities, or I guess organizations, or just things on the earth that God has created specifically to make disciples and accomplish his mission, literally to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus, when it comes to those entities God has created, there's the church, and there's the family, and there's nothing else. So what we do is pretty darn important, because we're it. It's the church, and it's the family that we're all about partnering with. So I hope when we walk out of the room today and you hear family ministry is my one goal, that we're all on the same page. When you think family ministry ever in the future, we think the same two things, every single person in this room. It's our strategy that's amazing, what we want to help people become, and it's that we want to partner with parents. We don't have all the answers yet. I have no idea what it's going to look like 5 years from now, but I know it's going to be better at the end of this year than it is right now. That's our goal. That's our family ministry. So when we ask you to do some crazy stuff, maybe you've been a small group leader for 2 years, and the director of your ministry comes and says, hey, from now on, small group leaders are going to be required to do this. And you're like, well, I've never had to do that before as a small group leader. Just know it's because of this. Remember this. It's probably got something to do with parents. It's got something to do with us wanting to leverage these 3,000 hours of influence. This is so much more than our 40. It's crazy. I actually had to steal, because I think there was only 30, I actually had to steal 10 from here and put it in there. So it's actually 40 versus 2,000. Everyone. No more math. How many ever? 10 less than 3,000 is 2,990. So imagine 10 more M&Ms. You didn't need to know that. Right now we're going to break up and talk more specifically about the strategies we have in each individual ministry environment. And before we do that, I'll tell you where we're going and introduce you to a couple people. First of all, the Wamba team. So all the Wamba volunteers that are here are going to be walking right next door to the back of this adult room with Miss Whitney Dialler, that's standing in the back in the awesomely cool blue shirt. Whitney is the Wamba director here at Ridge Church on staff with our team, has done an amazing job. She's basically taken Wamba from a point that nobody was excited about to a point that like everybody's excited about. So she's done an awesome job. You guys are lucky to work on a team with her. And then the Upstreet team, Upstreet volunteers who are here, get to hang out in the really cool poker room, which is right down this kind of hallway, and then to the left is where the infants hang out on Sunday morning, but it's really a poker room. I don't know if you guys are actually going to be playing poker, or maybe. I guess you're going to be talking about Upstreet stuff, though. Maybe playing poker later. But anyway, with Danielle Banks, who's also standing right here at the back. I guess that's a cool place to be, is the back, and she's in a really cool new green shirt. Danielle is our Upstreet director on staff with us at Ridge Church, and is one of the most amazing leaders I know, and continues to take Upstreet and make it better and better and better and better all the time. Just constantly impressed. Student impact volunteers, you guys are going to be hanging in the meditation room all the way down the hallway, turn towards the pool, and then just stop before you fall in on the right, the meditation room. And mainly you're going to be hanging out with Don Bumbulis, sitting right up front here. A lot of you guys who don't serve as students probably don't know Don Bumbulis, which is such a fun name that I'm trying to turn it into Bumbulicious. I'm trying to start that. So I feel like there's enough people in the room tonight to kind of tip it. So if everybody in the room started calling him Don Bumbulicious, that would be incredible. His wife would not appreciate it. I feel like Don would, though. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Don is actually not on staff with us, but has been a business owner for, I don't know, longer than I've known him, and probably longer than most people have known him, and has been incredible at it, leads an incredible team at his business, and I was shocked when he stepped into this leadership role in student impact to be the small groups director. I think it just proves that he's as crazy as I hoped he would be to step into it. And that's just more recently, but he's done an awesome job leading the team of small group leaders. He's going to be leading most of the training with us tonight. And then if you serve on production, like you serve on one of the production teams in either Upstreet or in student impact, you don't have to go very far at all. You're staying right here. You have kind of free reign of the Rosa Margarita machine, which is actually slushy, not margarita, just in case anyone was wondering. Mark sighed, a big sigh. There were lots of inward sighs I saw. Man, that didn't taste right. I knew it. So production volunteers, you get to hang out here with Miss Natalie Osborne, who is right there in the black, cool, new looking shirt. I forgot to point out Don's like really cool Carolina blue shirt. But anyway, Natalie Osborne in the back, also an amazing volunteer with us, Family Ministry Creative Director, which if I tried to start explaining to you what she does, I can't even, like I don't even know all the stuff. So anytime you've walked around any family ministries and been like, oh, that's pretty cool, probably Natalie had some type of direct or indirect hand in it. I can be confident to say that. She's going to be introducing you guys to Brandon Fields, who's also here at the back, who we are happy to have as kind of our in-house tonight expert on all things technical and production. So not to set him up too highly, but he blows my brain in about 30 seconds talking about tech stuff, and I'm like, wow, you know a lot, that's awesome. And now I actually understand it. Earlier today you were, anyway, can't explain it as well as you did, but I got it. It was awesome. So production people staying here. One more person I just want to say a big thanks to, and it's apropos that she's not even in the room tonight. I kind of asked her not to be, but Marla Baswell is actually part of our staff team, my assistant as well as the family ministries assistant. Basically what is going down tonight couldn't have happened without Marla. Pretty much lots of stuff that we're getting better and better and better at wouldn't happen without Marla. Yes, some of you might not even know who she is, but she's kind of like the behind the scenes queen. So it's kind of, as I say, apropos that she's not even here tonight. Makes a lot of stuff happen we couldn't do without her. So you guys take like a 5-minute break, I guess, maybe not so much a break, but think of it as a 5-minute refill on your way to your next environment breakouts. Maybe grab a brownie and a frozen non-margarita sour apple slushie on your way. And just know that we really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. You guys are awesome. Thanks for what you do every single week, but thanks for being here. Thanks for carving time out at 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening to come here, and hopefully we're all going to get better together moving forward in the next year. Thanks, you guys.